What's so special about the Boxer engine? What is symmetrical all-wheel drive? And why does Subaru use an Australian actor famous for his role in Crocodile Dundee in their advertising campaign? Find out more as we continue our drive through the history of Subaru. And hang on, because it's time to go off-road. It's now 1969. The first Subaru car imported into America fails dismally. The Subaru 360 minicar sells only 10,000 units and bombs after the Consumer Report magazine raises concerns about its safety. Today, safety is part of the Subaru brand. Cars.us News lists Subaru among the safest car brands of 2020. In fact, even back in the 60s, when this happened, Subaru was ahead of official guidelines when it comes to testing. The 360 was subject to rear crash testing. Subaru was the first auto manufacturer in Japan to use advanced and realistic tests, including guide rails and crash test dummies. Perhaps lessons were learned. Remember Malcolm Bricklin, the man who brought the Subaru 360 to the US? He goes on to manufacture the Bricklin SV, which is ahead of official safety guidelines. I guess he also learned a lesson. After all, along with reliability and speed, safety is critical when it comes to car manufacturing. Let's take a detour to look at the evolution of crash testing. Buckle up, because this drive gets a little dangerous at times, with concrete walls directly in the driving path and drivers jumping out of moving cars. Sounds like fun. When cars are first manufactured, all that is important is that they manage to drive without falling apart on the road. Nobody questions what will happen in the event of an accident, but as cars become faster and accidents happen, this changes. The first crash tests are performed by General Motors. This is way back in 1934. They take place at the Milford Proving Ground in Michigan. In the beginning, the focus is on the car and not on the people. They wanted the car to last. They didn't care about the people. In some tests, the unoccupied vehicle is rolled down a hill to increase speed. In others, the driver jumps out of the moving vehicle. Pretty risky, but better than hitting the concrete obstruction just ahead. That was their safety. You think you're getting in a wreck, jump out of the car. Then crash test dummies start appearing in the tests. This is around the 1940s. But it's only 20 to 30 years later when crash test results are made public as part of safety awareness. Seatbelts become compulsory for car manufacturers to install in the 60s, but they only become compulsory to wear in the 1980s. So it's a slow evolution in safety where cars are today. Now let's get back on track with what's happening at Subaru. It's the late 60s. The successor to the 1500, the Subaru 1000, is released. It's a 4-seater compact car. It's the first car Subaru produces in the compact car category. It's also the first front-wheel drive and the first production Subaru to use a Boxer engine. So, what is a Boxer engine? What makes it different to an inline engine, and what makes it so special? A Boxer engine has the same 4 strokes as an inline engine, but the order of the firing sequence is different. The pistons in both a Boxer and an inline engine fire in such a way to balance the primary forces. But there's a secondary force which acts on the pistons as they reach the top of the bottom of the cylinder. This force points up and out from the piston. In an inline 4 engine, the pistons point in the same direction, so the force causes vibration in the engine. In a Boxer engine, since the pistons point opposite directions from each other, these forces are canceled out. This makes the Boxer engine smoother, but there's a catch. Because the pistons don't align, they cause a rocking motion in the engine. While an inline 4 engine is generally more compact, the Boxer engine has a lower profile. This keeps the center of gravity lower, which improves braking and grip. But importantly, it's easier to position the engine so that it goes beneath the passenger compartment rather than into the passenger compartment in the event of a collision. Subaru is so committed to the Boxer engine that it's in every single one of their cars. Does anyone else use a Boxer engine? Well, Porsche does in the Boxster, Cayman, and 911. It's now the 1970s. The 1000's successor is the FF1. It's marketed in the United States as the Star. The FF1 looks pretty much exactly the same as the 1000, but there are minor trims. The Japanese government has ordered a merger of Japanese auto industry to improve competitiveness. So, Nissan acquires a stake in Fuji Heavy Industries, Subaru's parent company. Fuji Heavy Industry helps Nissan manufacture a line of buses. In return, Subaru vehicles use Nissan parts. This is why the next evolution, the Subaru Leon, has a long hood and a short trunk, which is similar to the style Nissan is using for their own product. Leon means lion in Italian. It's a good name because this line has a roar which gets Subaru noticed. Why is that? Well, up to this time, four-wheel drive has been used mostly in off-road vehicles. Subaru changes that with the symmetrical all-wheel drive system. Once again, like the Boxer engine, this evolution has been driven by safety. The Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive consists of a Boxer engine coupled by a symmetrical drivetrain with equal-length half axles. It provides a balanced weight distribution and a low center of gravity, which improves grip on the road. One of the first cars to feature this is the 1972 Subaru Leon station wagon. It becomes a great export success. People love all-wheel drive, and this feature makes the Subaru Leon stand out from the pack. It gets particularly strong sales in places like Switzerland and Colorado. Why Switzerland and Colorado, you might wonder? Well, what do these two places have in common? You're right, mountains. But it's not only mountains. People can now go almost everywhere they want. You can go off the beaten track and not worry about slippery mud and getting stuck. Today, all-wheel drive is synonymous with the Subaru brand in the United States, but this didn't actually happen by accident. It's now 1993. Subaru is struggling in the shadow of Toyota and Honda. It has released cars like the Legacy and Impreza, but sales in the U.S. are not good. In fact, it's only selling 104,000 cars a year in the U.S., down 60% from a few years prior. Subaru cars, with some few exceptions, are unremarkable and even boring. Americans found them exceptionally slow, too. George Mueller is an executive at Subaru of America. He knows something has to change. He thinks about what makes Subaru different from Toyota and Honda. The answer is obvious: the all-wheel drive technology. So he makes an important decision. Subaru pulls all front-wheel drive vehicles from their line and focuses only on all-wheel drive vehicles. He hires a new advertising agency, Tamerlan McCain of Dallas, and tells them to focus on launching the all-new Subaru Outback in America. The agency decides to use Australian actor Paul Hogan as a spokesman for the new brand. Paul Hogan is a famous Australian actor who plays the lead character in the movie series Crocodile Dundee. The story location is in the outback of Australia. The outback is a vast area with large parts completely uninhabited. If you consider that Australia is about the same size as the USA, but only has a population of roughly 22 million compared to America's 330 million. This gives you an idea how few people there are. And most of Australia's populations live on the coast. So if you're driving through the interior, it could be days before seeing another person, and if anything goes wrong, you could be a long way from help. What better place to test the grit of an outdoor all-wheel car, the Subaru Outback? It is a risk in focusing solely on the all-wheel drive feature. There's always a chance that Americans who are used to four-wheel drive in big sports utility vehicles and pickups might not go for it in passenger cars. Sales picked up. Subaru has created a new category of cars, a car-based SUV. It is soon imitated by other brands like the Toyota RAV4. It's 2018. Subaru sells its 2 millionth Outback in the U.S. It takes just 7 years to reach the 2 millionth mark, after taking 16 years to reach the first, which shows a growing popularity for this car in America. In fact, September 2020 is a standout year for Subaru America. They have 16% increase in sales compared to September of the previous years. Sales of Outbacks increased by a massive 51%. Now it's 2020. Since the Leon launch, Subaru has sold more than 11,780,000 vehicles, with the all-wheel drive roughly 55.7% of its total sales. This year, Subaru brings out the first self-charging hybrids. The new Forester e-Boxer and XV e-Boxer come with the added benefits of battery-based power without the need to plug in or recharge. It's marketed to people who want to combine the efficiency of a plug-in electric vehicle for city driving with the long range of outdoor driving. The gas engine charges the electric battery for time when you can't plug it in. Toyota increases their stake in Subaru to 20%, and Subaru officially joins the Toyota group. Most people agree this is unlikely to change the directions of the Outback, Forester, and Crosstrek. These cars are likely to continue their off-road trip towards outdoor adventures. After all, who would want to change that? I can imagine an ad with a Subaru at night in the middle of nowhere under starry skies. And I can imagine the little stars in the logo of the car, a tiny reflection of the real stars of the Pleiades star cluster above. Hey, somebody else has the same idea. No wonder. A car, a long road, stars above. It sounds like heaven to me.